Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're digging into one of the most incredible shifts in how we think about the human mind. The story of how therapy completely, and I mean completely, reinvented itself.
And really, it all boils down to this one question. This gets to the very heart of a revolution in psychology. It's a journey that takes us from a medical model, one focused on sickness, to a brand new model focused on human growth.
Okay, so to get our heads around this, we've got to go way back. We're starting at the beginning, in the Vienna office of the man who pretty much started it all, Sigmund Freud.
Now, her real name was Bertha Pappenheim, and fun fact, she was actually the patient of Freud's colleague Joseph Breuer. But her case, with all its bizarre symptoms and this totally new treatment, it became the absolute bedrock of psychoanalysis.
Yeah, Pappenheim herself came up with these amazing terms, talking cure and chimney sweeping. And the idea was just revolutionary. The thought that her physical symptoms, things like paralysis, actually had hidden psychological meanings, and that the cure wasn't a pill, but a conversation, that was mind-blown stuff.
And this, right here, this is the fundamental divide we're going to be exploring. See, Freud's world was built on this medical model. You're a sick patient, you go to an expert doctor, and he cures you of some past trauma. But a whole new wave of thinkers was about to come along and say, wait a minute, what if therapy isn't about curing a sickness, but about unlocking potential? But here's the thing, the Anna O case wasn't that simple. She ended up developing these really intense, really complicated feelings for her doctor. It's a phenomenon Freud would later name transference, and it proved that the relationship in therapy was this incredibly powerful and maybe even volatile part of the whole process. The talking cure was a journey into some seriously deep waters.
All right, now let's jump to a single, seemingly tiny moment that, it exposed a huge crack in Freud's entire worldview. It involves a train, a little boy, and what had to be a very, very awkward conversation.
So, picture this. A young, super ambitious Gordon Allport finally scores a meeting with his hero. He's probably pretty nervous, right? So, to break the ice in Freud's big, imposing office, he tells this little story about something he saw on the train ride over. Just a simple observation about a little boy who was comically afraid of getting dirty.
So Freud listens, nods along, and then instead of talking about the boy or the psychology of it, he just looks straight at Allport and asks this one piercing question. He wasn't interested in the kid on the train at all. He was psychoanalyzing Allport right there on the spot, assuming the whole story was just a projection of Allport's own childhood issues.
And Allport was just floored. In that one moment, it all clicked. For Freud, everything, and I mean everything, had some hidden, unconscious motive. There was no room for just reality. Allport realized that psychoanalysis, in its constant hunt for deep, dark secrets, often completely missed the obvious. Sometimes a story about a boy on a train is just a story about a boy on a train.
Well, this kind of dissatisfaction with Freud's pessimism, it sparked a full-blown revolution. It was called humanistic psychology, this third force that offered a way more optimistic and empowering view of what it actually means to be human.
Leading the charge was Carl Rogers. He said, you know what? Growth doesn't require some expert to interpret your secrets. He believed it happens naturally when a person gets these three core things from another person. The therapist's job wasn't to be some detached analyst, but a real, genuine, empathetic partner on the client's own journey.
Rogers also did something pretty radical for the time. He brought a tape recorder into the therapy room to actually study what was going on. And you have to notice the language change. He worked with clients, not patients. Now that might sound small, but it was a seismic shift. It recentered the power, making it clear that the individual is an active participant, not just some passive person waiting for a cure. At the exact same time, another humanist, Abraham Maslow, was asking this totally game-changing question. For decades, psychology had been obsessed with what was broken in people. Maslow came along and wondered, hey, what if we studied what's right with people? What if we studied the most fulfilled, creative, and healthy people to see what's actually possible for us?
And that question led to his famous hierarchy of needs. Maslow basically said that once our basic needs are met, food, water, safety, we're driven by these higher needs for belonging, for respect, and then at the very top, self-actualization. It's that deep-down drive to become the most that we can be. It's a pyramid of our potential.
So when you put these two worlds side by side like this, the difference is it's night and day. Freud saw us as being determined by our past, a big knot of unconscious conflicts. Rogers saw us as oriented toward future growth.
One is looking backward into the shadows, the other is looking forward, toward the light.
So what does all this mean for us today? Where did this revolutionary turn actually leave us? Let's put all the pieces together and see the impact it still has.
What's really important to get is that humanism didn't erase psychoanalysis. Instead, it radically expanded the whole mission of therapy. The goal wasn't just limited to fixing what was broken anymore. It now included actively building what was right, fostering well-being, finding meaning, and encouraging personal growth.
And these ideas, they're everywhere now. Seriously, think about it. The principles of empowerment, positive regard, the whole idea of reaching your potential, that's not just in counseling. It's in our classrooms, it's in corporate boardrooms, it's the foundation of the entire self-help industry. It has fundamentally changed the way we talk about becoming better people.
And so this entire journey from Freud's couch all the way to Maslow's hierarchy, it leaves us with this really powerful question, one that's still shaping the conversation around mental health today. Are we trying to fix what's broken, or are we trying to build what's possible? And the beautiful thing is, thanks to this revolution, the answer is that we can now aspire to do both.